नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यां हरिः ओम। अन्तरायतिमिरूपशान्तये शान्तपावनम् अचिन्त्यवैभवम् तं नरं वपुषि कुञ्जरं मुखे मन्महे किमपि तुन्दिलं महः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। यस्यान्तन्नादिमध्यम् न हि करचरणं नाम गोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो नानपुंसं न च स्त्रीं नाकारं नैवकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानम् वर्षिष्ठान्ते वसदऋषिगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रम् आनन्दमूर्तिं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे। वेदान्तार्थविभासकायेतये शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादिनगेन्द्रसङ्गपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभितां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। अपारसच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः। कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनाम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रं ह्यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति। हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतावाम् पवनचलनरोधाद् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। यस्माज्जातं जगत्सर्वं यस्मिन्नेव प्रलीयते येनेदं धार्यते चैव तस्मै ज्ञानात्मने नमः। प्रज्ञानां शुप्रदानैः स्थिरचरनिकरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् स्थविष्टान् पुनरपि धिषणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरपुङ्मायया भोजयन्नः मायासङ्ख्यातुरीयं परम् अमृतम् अजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि अरुणाचलशिरोद्भूतसम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकम् करुणार्णवमीडेतं रमणाख्यम् अहम् महः। To speak on Bhagavan is to remain in a state where you are beyond all language. You have heard Ganeshana speaking. A person was born in the presence of Bhagavan, who grew in the presence of Bhagavan, who was named by Bhagavan, who has seen Bhagavan as a child, had the great fortune of getting Bhagavan's touch physically, and having the greatest benefit of being with many of Bhagavan's direct disciples and devotees. See, this is not something very easily got. We have not seen anyone who have been directly with Adi Shankara, with Ramakrishna. So after listening to Ganesha now, it is actually something very wrong. I don't want to use much more powerful word to applaud. Our spiritual tradition demands a very sacred way of communicating or communing with God. This looks like a college auditorium, standing and speaking. Our sages did sitting under a tree, spoke, communicated it, and they received it from the heart. It is not like a function. It's not like a... So why I start with this is that we should carry this in our heart, that we have seen, we have heard something very precious. It is a great labha, great punya. To be with sages, with saints, with Mahatmas who have seen Bhagavan. From my childhood, I was closely associated with ashram, with Ganeshana, and with some of the direct devotees of Bhagavan. I have seen, after 40 years, 50 years of seeing Bhagavan, how they were carrying that inundation in their heart. It is something which is impossible. Even our own father or grandfather, very close relative, we forget within 10 years after their demise. But after seeing Bhagavan, I have been seeing them after 30 years, 40 years. That is about last 1980, after 1985, 88. So that is almost more than 40 years. So that time also they had that inundation that Ramakrishna used to say. I'm remembering that one devotee went to Ramakrishna, Kalipada Ghosh. He was, at that time he was a drunkard. When he saw Ramakrishna in that spiritual inebriation, he thought this person is also like us. Then he asked Thakur, what do you take? Is it foreign or... Then Ramakrishna said, it is absolute village made. You take it once and you need not consume it continuously. You take it once and your entire life you will be in inundation. Sakrid adana vidhuta dvandva dharma vinashtaha. Bhagavatam, that Gopikas say, Sakrid adana. You take it once, you consume it once, and that one moment you are taken out. And the inebriation continues all your life. Such was the state in which many of Bhagavan's direct devotees who got it in Bhagavan's presence lived. Whether it is Kunju Swamy or Kanagamma, those who were very late, they lived like one of Bhagavan's teaching. Today spirituality is also a field where people want to shine, to be glorified. And somebody asked Bhagavan how an aspirant should live. Bhagavan said, Tiridanai pola iru. He said, live like a thief, afraid that you will be caught. In Bhagavatam, that Jadabarda says, I live like a thief. He says, I don't want to be known by others. Avivrita Sharami. So, all Bhagavan's direct devotees, they lived like that. Or we can say Bhagavan's grace just covered them like that, completely covered them like that. Not at all exposing them to the gross-minded world. They lived in that spiritual state and only very fortunate people got them. So, one of the most important part of spiritual sadhana is Kudatil Deepam Kulavuvatu Pol. Muruganar sings. It is like a lamp kept inside a pot. It gives light inside the pot. Like that, Antareva Prakashate. And one of the greatest service that Ganeshana has done is collecting the anecdotes of many of Bhagavan's direct devotees. And one of the greatest facts in that is when ordinary people ask, is it possible for us to get that state? You take one of the books and go through it, you will find some old widow lady, uneducated, getting that state. So realization or recognizing the self is not something to be achieved like a PhD, gaining like some Nobel Prize. It is the most simplest of the thing. It is the most easily available thing. The very simplicity is its difficulty. We want complex things. The truth is so simple. Vivekananda said somewhere, the truth is so simple, it is simple like your own existence. It is his words. So, simple like your own existence. So nothing can be more simple than your own existence. That is the only thing which you cannot deny. You can deny God, you can deny anything, but no one can deny his own existence. If you put off all the light in this room, in the dark room, you know you are there. How do you know that? See, this is not a talk. Just simple thing. Very, very simple thing. How do you know that you exist? Is it by seeing? Is it by touching? Or do you have to smell your existence? Taste? Or should you think? No. You know. Sometimes I had a session with small children, nursery children. One of the boys, he said, I know my presence. So that presence is the word, sat. Na abhavo vidyate satah. Existence, experience of existence as I am. It is self-effulgent, Swayam Prakasha Vastu. That Swayam Prakasha, Anubhuti Swaprakasha. Anubhuti is self-effulgent, and Anubhuti means what? Not experiencing something, but the very nature of I is experience. See, sparkling statements of Bhagavan. One of the statements is, Bhagavan says, I is realization. When somebody asked Bhagavan, I want realization, Bhagavan said, I is realization. Existence is realization. Your very nature is realization. And on the other side, he said, body is another name for death. Body is another name for ajnana, limitation. So your very nature itself is realization. How can it become complex? It is so simple, so direct. We know that we exist. The feeling of existence expresses itself in the heart as I, aham. Verbally it may differ. In Hindi it may be mem. In Tamil it is nan. English it is I. Sanskrit it is aham. But what you mean by that, we call it as lakshyartha. The implied meaning is you. And that you as I is known to all, to everyone. That is why Bhagavan opened it. In Aksharamana Malai, one song, Bhagavan says, I have broken the box of secrets. Arunachala, do not get angry with me. Velivitten un செயல் வெறுத்திடாதுன் அருள் வெளிவிட்டெனைக்கா Arunachala. Arunachala, I have broken the box of secrets. I have revealed it. I don't know whether it is, it can be done. I have revealed it. So that it is available for all. And in another song, Bhagavan says, it is not that I have revealed it. I was an ordinary boy born as the son of Sundaramayyar and Alahammal in Tiruchuri. It's a very beautiful song in Navamani Malai. Bhagavan says, it's Bhagavan's autobiography. Arunachala Stuti Panchakam is Bhagavan's autobiography. See, these great saints, after experiencing it, somehow they have to express it. They have to sing their own glory. It should be done. It cannot be otherwise. Stuti Priya, Stotra Priya. We say God is Stotra Priya. There is nothing wrong in flattery, but you have to flatter only the truth, not the body. Because you cannot avoid flattery. Everyone loves flattery. Even a dog, if you just give it a pat, it will stand like this. Everyone likes. You can act as if you don't like the flattery, but you will say you are a very humble person if you say that. So, the flattery should be given to the real self. That is why you see in Ramakrishna's life, he asked Master Maharshi. In many occasions, various ways he asks. In one place he asks, what do you think about me? It will look as if like egoism. What do you think about me? And in one place Master says, Thakur, you are God. You are like God or something like that. Suddenly becomes ecstatic, enters into that samadhi state. It is like, as Anna said, this Tattvamasi. In a different way. Even a disciple can say that. That is why when the Guru tells you you are Brahman, you are flattered in the real sense. When Vivekananda, in one of his talks, he was just throwing this bombshell of jnana. He says you are Brahman, you are truth, you are not this body. It is a sin to call you sinners. The very nature of the self is purity. He was going on exploding. And one girl stood up and said, Swamy, you are hypnotizing us. Then Swamiji said, my dear child, there is no necessity to hypnotize you because already you are in hypnosis. I am only de-hypnotizing you, waking you up to your own glory, to your own mahima. So Bhagavan was constantly doing only that. In Swami Ramdas' case also, similar incident. In Mahatmas, it repeats. Rani Lalita Devi, a devotee, one day was serving Swami Ramdas. Suddenly he asked, what do you think about Ramdas? He always used to say about him as Ramdas. What do you think about Ramdas? Then that lady said, Papa, you are God. And that very moment he becomes ecstatic. So it is not flattering, it is not glorifying the body or mind. Suddenly you recognize that you are bodiless, you are mindless, you are egoless, you are divisionless. Ellayarathan olirum. That is Bhagavan's words. Bhagavan says, Ellayarathan olirum. So Bhagavan, in Arunachala Stuti Panchakam, it is on Arunachala, but it speaks what Bhagavan is. In one of Tyagaraja Kirtanas, Tyagaraja says, we may say Tyagaraja sang about Rama. In that song, Tyagaraja says, Rama, you propagated Tyagaraja's name all over the world. Dasharathe ni rinamu dirpana dharma. That is the song. It says, Rasika Shiromani Dasharathe. How can I pay back the debt that I owe to you? Because some saint, some sannyasi, some paramahamsa from Kashi has walked to Tiruvayar to meet Tyagaraja and listen to him. And who has made him know it is Rama? So he says, Rama, you are the greatest Rasika Shiromani. The Rasika. So Bhagavan in his Navamani Mala, he says, I was born as the boy of Sundaramayar and Azhagammal in Tiruchuri. It's a very difficult song. That Navamani Malai, that one song is very difficult. Buvikul Pongidum, Puvichor Pungavan, Purikul Punnigan, Churikul Sundaran, Tavak Sundaran, Sadikut Pannanan, தலத்தில் துன்புறும் படிக்கு தன் உளம் தழைக்க தன் பதம் எனக்கு தந்தனன். ஜகத்தில் சின்மயம் தழைக்க தன்மயம் செழிக்க தன் பதம் எனக்கு தந்தனன். That is the song. It's a very difficult song. One poet, Ottakoothar, has written a song extolling the king, what the king gave to him. So Ishvara Swamy, another sannyasi, he told Bhagavan, why don't you write what Arunachala gave you? So Bhagavan wrote this song, very difficult song. I used to say, because we were all educated in Malayalam only. So if we start learning this one song, if one teeth is shaking, it will fall. Very difficult song. So in that song, Bhagavan says, Arunachala gave his state to me. It is not that I attained it. It is not that I achieved it. Arunachaleshwara gave me that state so that Chinmayam Chayikya Jagatil. He says, in the world, the teaching of self-knowledge will flourish. The secret of self-knowledge will flourish. And what is the secret of self-knowledge? Ayye ati sulabham atma viddhai. All the scriptures, all the scholars, all the academic people have made it so difficult. Look difficult. There was one anecdote in Mountain Path when Anna was editor. One small Satan, he goes to a big Satan and tells, see, in the world somebody has realized. He has become an enlightened person and devotees are flocking around him. Now our business will be in difficulty. Then that big Satan tells him, don't be afraid. You sit here, I have made arrangement. Then again this small Satan went there and saw a lot of people sitting around this Mahatma. Again comes back and tells him, what arrangement have you made? So many people go to him. And then that big Satan said, you know, those who are very close to that Mahatma you saw, very scholarly people, yes, they are my people. They will see to it that nobody will go near. They will make it so difficult that people will find it impossible to reach him. So this is not joke. It's not that I am cutting jokes. So that was the condition. So Bhagavan, if some people who are interested in academics, if they ask such questions to Bhagavan, he will say, I don't know all these things. If somebody asks, what is there in the Upanishad, this Bhashya, that, Bhagavan said, I have never learnt all these things. But stalwarts like Jagadisha Shastri, very profound scholars, with deep sincerity, when they took even Upanishad Bhashyas to Bhagavan, he will clarify their doubts, give explanation. In Jagadisha Shastri, in one place he says, Bhagavan will quote the exact sentence in the Bhashya. So he knew all those things. But if the seeker is not really sincere, if he is asking only from the brain to get some doubt clarified or simply for his own glorification, Bhagavan will say, I don't know all these things. I have never learnt all these things. And his purpose was to guide you to the heart, to the center. So Bhagavan in Navamanimala says, Arunachaleshwara gave me this experience of the self so that it will be available to the world. One of the greatest devotees of Bhagavan, Muruganar, he says, Arunachaleshwara wanted fame. Again the same thing. And how to become famous? The only way gods can become famous is by getting devotees. Shankaracharya also says, Bhakteshu prakatita phalabhya. Only through bhaktas God can manifest. So Arunachaleshwara spread his net, his web of grace, and in that web one boy was caught. He was in Madurai, studying in a school. He was caught, a very mature person was caught. Then slowly he gave him that self-experience and brought him to Tiruvannamalai and made him stay in Arunachala, in Virupaksha cave. And Arunachala was waiting so that this boy will sing. Because all saints have sung. All the 63 saints have sung. So Arunachaleshwara thought that this boy also will sing. But ultimately, Muruganar says, Arunachala hill, he became ashamed. Because Amma Atishayam Achalamum Nana Chumma Irundador Swarupam. Even the Achala, the mountain, became ashamed that I am not still like him. Absolutely still, not at all moving, not at all uttering anything. Then the story continues that Arunachala himself came in a form as a yogi and sang 5 songs in the name of Bhagavan. That is Ramana Stuti Panchakam. Only after that Arunachala Stuti Panchakam came. Arunachala came and sang. And that yogi says, I came from a great distance. From that distance, I got the fragrance of your self-experience. The perfume of your self-experience. Dharayalam manakka. Swanubhuti dharayalam manakka. So that Swanubhuti of Bhagavan, Vivekananda in one place says, my master often taught me that even if you live in a cave and meditate, the power of your meditation will break the walls of cave and spread all over the world. That was visible in Bhagavan's life. He never made any movement to propagate, but the whole world came to him and received the teaching. And what is the teaching? Tanmayam. That is the one word which Bhagavan gave, Tanmayam. Tanmayam means the truth about Tan, the self. The truth, the simple truth, which became so difficult because of this fellow, the brain. Because of so much of academics. The simple thing was covered up. So Bhagavan came to make you see that what is there in you is whole, is Purna. Unnai nee therindayagil unakku or kedum illai. If you really know what you are made of, you think you are this body. But the I, which is constantly experienced by you, is it the body? Now science is giving us help. They remove all the parts, liver, kidney, heart, brain. And many people are carrying machines within them. Peacemaker, something. Almost half robot, half man. But nothing affects the self. I am not insulting it. Even that, you don't feel you have changed. The body is having it, but you as the I is whole. You as the I is completely incorruptible. And we fail to recognize this I. If you amputate the leg, the I is there. If you amputate the hand, the I is there. If you change the heart, the I is there. If you change the kidney, the I is there. So explicit. This is only the outer periphery of the teaching. But still, even this we fail to pay attention because it is so near us, so simple, we fail to recognize. The aham, the element aham. That is Arunachalam. That is Arunachalam. Somebody asked Bhagavan, when Bhagavan was looking at Arunachalam, Bhagavan, are you looking at Arunachalam? Bhagavan said, I am looking at myself. And entire life, when seekers came to him, his only dharma was, even if you ask some question, left to himself, Bhagavan will see to it that the question is brushed aside and your attention is focused on yourself. We want question answer. In Vedanta there is no answer. Only question is there. Answer is yourself. The Vachyartha will not do. The Lakshyartha, the experience is you. Answer is not necessary. You ask some question, I answer. Usually, even to question, you have to live with a master for many years. And Indra asked Prajapati one question. He said, live with me for 25 years. After that, again he asked, again he said, live with me for 25 years. 25, 5. 80 years he had to live with Prajapati. So even to question, it is not that simply you question and get some answer. The answer is the experience of the self. So for the question, who am I? There is no answer. It is an answerless question. They have given that as the topic. Who am I is an answerless question. Actually, there is no who am I at all. For many of Bhagavan's devotees, Ganeshana was talking about Robert Adams. Somebody asked, Westerners, they were very much fascinated by this technique of who am I. So somebody asked Robert Adams, Robert, how did you do self-inquiry? He said, I never did it. See, it's a mystery, We think all these great saints, they got it by some technique. When somebody asked Muruganar, Swamy, நீங்க என்ன சாதனை பண்ணினீங்க? What sadhana did you do? Muruganar said, sadhanaya. He became angry actually. He said, sadhanaya. Why, Swami, why are you angry? He said, my guru did not give me time even to close my eyes. Before I could close my eyes, the truth flashed. I was swallowed, alive. So there is no time for me to do some sadhana. And after that, it is uninterrupted tapas. It is not that they get it and they become famous. It is not like that. The full prize was taken from them. That their body, their mind, everything went to Bhagavan. It is not that they did not do sadhana and get it. No. Sadhana, we think it is a technique. Muruganar has written about who am I, thousands of verses. But that Muruganar says, the moment he saw Bhagavan's photo, he was working as a school teacher in Chennai, as a Tamil teacher. His own father-in-law, without thinking the consequence, took Bhagavan's book and photo to him. The result is he lost his son-in-law. The moment Muruganar saw that book, he was just lost. Because, see, every seeker will be carrying a seed form of his guru's figure inside him. So the moment he looks at his master outside, he will recognize. So the moment Muruganar saw Bhagavan's photo, he was just swept away by that. So with that he came to Tiruvannamalai and he was feeling how to go to Bhagavan without taking any fruits or anything. So he wrote Deshika Patikam, 10 verses on Bhagavan, and took it. The moment he went inside ashram, as Anna told, what Sub-Registrar Narayana here, and Muruganar was entering, Bhagavan was standing there. And that one look from Bhagavan was enough. First he could not take it, just like Vivekananda when Ramakrishna touched. He just ran away from ashram. He said, Tirittu Kootam, Tirittu Kootam. He said, these are all thieves, robbers. They enslave you. Then some other devotees went near him and said, he came back and then told Bhagavan, Swamy, I could not see you even for 5 minutes. How did your mother carry you in her womb for 10 months? I could not look at you like that. Then after that he became like a shadow of Bhagavan. Morning he will come, look at Bhagavan with open mouth. What will we say in English? Agape. Agape. Look, sitting there, and many devotees will be even making joke on that figure. He will not be aware of that. He will be sitting, looking, drinking Bhagavan's form. And one day when Bhagavan went inside kitchen, he will, in the afternoon or sometime, he will go there, cut vegetables. Muruganar also went with Bhagavan. But unless you do some work, you cannot remain with Bhagavan. That is the difficulty. See, you cannot put all Mahatmas in the same category. Bhagavan was precision, perfection. Whatever he did will be perfect. If he writes, it will be perfect handwriting. If he cuts vegetables, it will be perfect. If he took food, the leaf will be so clean. So Muruganar was different because see, when that experience comes, the body will be shaken. The personality will be completely shaken. So he could not do anything other than singing the glory of that experience. Once the ashram management asked him to do puja. See, we think saints means they will be doing puja. So they asked Muruganar to do puja. The greatest circus he found is to ring the bell and do arati. If he starts doing arati, the bell will stop. If he starts ringing the bell, the arati will stop. He could not continue it. So he came to kitchen and started cutting vegetables with Bhagavan. Bhagavan was doing it so perfectly. Muruganar was making a kind of cacophony. Everything was thrown haphazard. Some pieces were lying here, something was lying there. All confusion. So Bhagavan, after doing his job, looked at Muruganar. You see, some of Bhagavan's mannerisms, devotees, they say, we'll keep finger like this. He looked at Muruganar and said, Muruganar, the moment he saw Bhagavan, he left his wife, Meenakshi Ammal. Anna has served so much. That is a very touching story which you have to listen from him. That Meenakshi Ammal's story. So that his wife, he left and came to Bhagavan. And she used to often come to Bhagavan and complain, Bhagavan, you took away my husband. And Bhagavan said, I will look after you. He did do it with Meenakshi Amma. So Muruganar, when was cutting vegetable, it was all confusion. Then Bhagavan looked at it and said, Oi, neer kariha inarakiyadu, neer kuduthana nadathina madriye irukku. So beautiful in Tamil. That is why I said it in Tamil. He said, the way you cut vegetables, it is like your own family life. It's all confusion. Afasad. Everything is left. Then Muruganar said, Bhagavan, why don't you get married? Why don't you get married and have a good wife, chaste wife, you know how to run a family perfectly. Why don't you do it? In a beautiful song. Nakkarahi nayandu ramanare pukku pichai pulambittirivaden takkavaruru tayyarudaviya chikkana kudivalkai seluttume. He says, Ramanare, why do you wander about in this Arunachala streets as a naked beggar? Bhikshatana Murti. See, Arunachala has one form. One form of Arunachala is Bhikshatana. So every Kartikeya Deepam, Arunachaleshwara will come in the street begging from devotees. That is one Murti, Utsava Murti. He will very fascinating form it is. Very as Arunachala Yogi will come with radiant form. That Murti will be like that. So he comes for Bhikshatana, and in Bhagavan's physical form, Arunachaleshwara moved about in Tiruvannamalai, begging from every street. Bhagavan said, in all streets I have begged. That is why once an ashram management told Muruganar, you cannot always take food from ashram. He became, because he didn't know how to live in the world. He said, Bhagavan, now they have told that I cannot every day take bhiksha, food here. Now the only recourse is I have to take bhiksha, begging. No, what Bhagavan said, Rumba nalladu. It's very good. I will teach you where to beg and how to beg. He taught him. So see, living with Bhagavan. These are not stories, These anecdotes are sweet balls of spiritual experience. Globules of spiritual experience. You have to swallow it. The renunciation with which they lived. It is not like learning Bhagavad Gita and teaching Bhagavad Gita to corporates in a 5-star hotel. It is like living with fire. It burns all the dross. It takes away everything that you hold on as your own possession. And even the possessor will be swallowed. What to speak about the possession? The possessor himself will be erased. And you are not the loser. You will be gaining. When the bubble explodes, it becomes the ocean. When the bubble explodes, it is not that simply it ceases to exist, but it becomes the ocean. The moment the ego disappears, it merges, it becomes one with the divisionless awareness. Every day in deep sleep, you have the experience of the self. This is the declaration of the Upanishads. This is the teaching of Bhagavan. Every day in deep sleep, everyone is experiencing self without knowing that they are experiencing it. That is why you want to go back to that state. Whenever you wake up, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you look at the timepiece, it is only 1 o'clock, you have 4 more hours to sleep, you feel so happy. But what do you gain there? Sushupti eka siddha. Shankaracharya says Sushupti eka siddha. That which is attained in Sushupti. What is there in the Sushupti, in the deep sleep? You don't gain anything. You lose your body, you lose your mind, you lose your ego, you lose the world to which you cling. Everything that you possess ceases to exist. And still, everyone cherishes to go to that state. And you as a person is not there. You as a particular person with a name ceases to exist, but you don't lose. I is not there as a person, but I as existence is there. The waking state also, the body and mind is there, I am. In the dream, the body is not there, but the mind operates, I am there. In the deep sleep, neither the body is there nor the mind operates, Do I exist? Answer is two ways. If you identify with this I, you don't exist. You exist. You are there fully, wholly. No problems can enter that state. Esha setuhu. The Shruti says a perfect dam, perfect bridge is there which blocks all dualities. No duality can penetrate into that state. You cannot take your body into that state. You cannot take your mind into that state. You cannot take this jiva bhava, this ego into that state. And we say it is an ignorant state, causal state, karana sharira. Actually, Vedanta, Shankaracharya in one place says that is karana sharira. In another place says there is no karana sharira at all. It is Brahman. And what is the difference? From waking state, if you look at the deep sleep, Karana Sharira is there. That is why somebody asked Bhagavan, you say Bhagavan, deep sleep, there is self. Bhagavan said, go to deep sleep and find. Ask this question in deep sleep. That is impossible. It's not. That is impossible. The thing is, in deep sleep, there is no ignorance. But when you look at deep sleep from waking state, there is ignorance. That is all. Only from waking state, this thing called sleep is there. Sleep means a covering which obstructs your vision of the self. So, but in the deep sleep, you have the greatest healing, fulfillment. Why that fulfillment is there? Because you cease to be a limited person. And to have that fulfillment in waking state, you should experience that limitlessness in waking state. And the only way to experience it is, Bhagavan says, find out how this limitation arises. How does this limitation arises? The limitation arises from the heart as I. The first emergence is this I thought. From deep sleep, how do you wake up? Yesterday we were in Tiruvannamalai, today at Mumbai. We go to sleep, wake up, the first thought arises I, then we recognize the place where we are sleeping. So the first thought is this I, and the I arises from a source, from a Mulasthanam. And that Mulasthanam is, Bhagavan says, Hridayam, Hardasthanam. And that Hridayam, you go to that heart in deep sleep unconsciously. But when you do self-enquiry, when you do who am I, with absolute vigilance, with alertness, you focus, you pay attention to this I thought, the movement of the primordial manifestation, the foremost manifestation as I. The ego we know. Bhagavan said, Aham vritti. Everybody knows it. If somebody insults you, you know its movement. They have given you invitation, you come inside, sit here. Suddenly I ask, why do you sit here? Get up, go. I don't want you to be here. Something arises from the heart. I was insulted. I. This localized feeling of I was insulted. If you are glorified, then also it arises. This is the greatest person. He has come here. Some happiness comes. That also comes to this I. See, the entire life is nothing but this movement of I from the heart to the surface and going back to the surface. Any form of manifestation is sorrow, whether excitement or depression, whether insult or flattery. Any form of action from the world which causes this reaction of this ego is suffering. Because ego is limitation. Ahantai uruvalidal mukti. Bhagavan said mukti means the ego loses its form. Its factuality. So when you pay attention to this movement of I, when somebody insults you, you feel, I have been insulted, I. Then you ask, who was insulted? Me. And what is this me? What is this I? I. You hold on to it. Then slowly you see that it is like a thread. Sutra. It's like a thread which has direct connection to the heart center. This is Bhagavan's greatest revelation. Bhagavan says, this I thought is a thread. If you become successful in holding to it, that can take you to the center where there is no death, where there is no body, where truth is ever available to you. You will have the experience of the self there. So hold on to this I thought and find out where from this I thought arises. Constantly you hold on to it, then you know the I thought will merge and something else will shine forth. And that is always shining forth, but you recognize it. The thing which is not made of body, the thing which is not made of mind, the thing which is not made of the aham vritti, which is pure awareness, which is divinity itself, which we unconsciously experience in deep sleep, we experience it consciously in waking state. That is why we say Jagrat Sushupti. Bhagavan uses the word Jagrat Sushupti. Jagrat is alertness. Actually, this Jagrat is realization. This alertness is realization, plus you have that experience of the state where the body is not, mind is not, ego is not, and the greatest fulfillment is there in the heart. This greatest treasure, Bhagavan uses the word freely available treasure. Tedadu utra nal tiruvarul nidhi. In Aksharamanamale, Bhagavan says, Tedadu utra nal tiruvarul nidhi. The treasure which you have got without much seeking. Easily available, freely available. And the greatest treasure is that you are the self. And all answers of Bhagavan is from that state only. And somebody asked Bhagavan, should I not renounce? Bhagavan neither said you should, nor he denied. He said, you know the self, then you will recognize that the self has already renounced everything. See, the answer is very different. That is why Kavyakanta said Bhagavan is Maharshi. It's not an ordinary answer. Always from that stand only, Asango hi ayam Purusha. The Purusha, the self is always Asanga. It is not that you create Asangatva. It is not mentally created detachment. You recognize the self. Every day in deep sleep, the self easily forgoes the body and mind and remains as itself. You recognize in the waking state, then you know that Asangatva is the very nature of the self. So this experience was given by Bhagavan by mere look to many of Bhagavan's direct devotees. Not only for Muruganar, one of the most favorite stories of Anna Ganeshanna is Shankarama Pati, an old lady who was born somewhere near Tiruvannamalai. In this modern age, we cannot even imagine such an incident now. She was married at the age of 8 and she lost her husband when she was 9. That means By the age of 9, your life is already over. And from that day onwards, with tonsured head, she has lived. And her brother was very affectionate to her. He taught her Yoga Vasishtam, gave her Tamil books, Yoga Vasishtam, Vedanta Chudamani. There are 16 Tamil Vedanta Granthas. So many of them, she was thoroughly at home with many of those Tamil Vedanta Granthas. So once, every year her brother used to take her to some Tirtha Kshetra. In that way they came to Tiruvannamalai. And see how the Guru guides. When they came to the Arunachaleshwara temple, the chief priest, when he was doing the arati, after that, he asked these devotees whether they have seen Ramana Maharishi. That is the first time she was listening to that name. The whole story was narrated by her to Ganeshana. Ganeshana was very close with her. He used to say she will look very ugly, very dark, but I was always fascinated by her. Always I used to go and sit with her. Very old at that time. So she has narrated this story to him. So she came to ashram, saw Bhagavan. The moment she saw Bhagavan, she saw there whatever she has read, the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, Jivan Mukta Lakshana, all that which the Vedanta Granthas speak, personification of it is standing before her. Embodiment of it. Then the next thing is she wanted to surrender. Live with Bhagavan. It is impossible because women are not allowed to live inside ashram. And what to do? And Lord has his own ways. Then they overheard ashram people speaking. There is a dearth of workers in kitchen. Even if it is women, it is okay. We can make them stay in the town and bring them in the morning and work here. She got it. And from day onwards, she was working in ashram. These kitchen workers, they cannot go to hall and see Bhagavan. They will have one namaskara in front of Bhagavan and go to kitchen. And Bhagavan knows they are also not ordinary workers. They are also mumukshus, vairagis. So he will go to kitchen. It is a vyaja. Trying to help them in cooking, telling them what to cook, how to cook. He will many proficient cooks, they have wondered how he learned all these things. He has given tidbits even in cooking. So he will go there, at that time they will get Bhagavan with them. So every day these kitchen workers will be getting Bhagavan at that time. So one day this lady felt, Shankaramma, she was having absolute peace and tremendous dispassion, because it is not that she has left the world, but the world has also left her. And she knows the teaching perfectly. And she has seen Bhagavan, living with Bhagavan. So that day, for many days she was having this doubt that there is no thought, thoughts are not continuously arising, it is not sleep. And what the Shastra says, this Shanti, this experience of self, she had it, but she wanted a confirmation from Guru. How to ask? Can we go to the master and ask him whether I have realized the self or got it? But again, you need it. Bhagavan himself in Aksharamana says, Arunachala, I have got it without knowing, you please confirm my experience. Tattvam theriyadu attana yuttrai, tattvam iduven Arunachala. So this old lady, at that time she was young. Bhagavan came, helped, he was in the kitchen. He was, after taking breakfast, he was going out, and the attendant was not near. That is the most good time. So she went there, prostrated before Bhagavan, and sang a song from Tamil. It's from Kaivalya Navanitam, where the disciple gets the Vedanta Vijnana from the Guru, and he recognizes the self. After that, out of the delight, he tells the master, Master, you are not this body. You were with me from many, many, many births. From within you were teaching me, but I failed to recognize. So you took a beautiful form and came outside and taught me, gave me this release, this mukti. And for this blessing, this boon, what can I pay back? How can I pay back? ஐயனே எனதுளே அனந்த ஜன்மங்கள் என ஆண்ட மெய்யனே உபதேசிக்க வெளிவந்த குருவே போற்றி. You came outside just to do upadesha. உய்யவே முக்தி நல்கும் உதவிக்கு ஓர் உதவி நாயேன். I am a dog, a street dog, consuming everything that is available in the world. So for me, you came with so much compassion in a form and gave me the Mahavakya Upadesha. For that, what can I give you back? Udavikku or Udavinayen Sayumarundrum Kanen Tiruvadi Potri Potri. Other than prostrating before you, I don't know what to do. She standed this verse and did Namaskara to Bhagavan. Bhagavan looked with smile. You have to just see that picture. That lady prostrating before Bhagavan, and Bhagavan with, that is the usual posture, in the head will be shaking like this. With compassion he looked at her and said, Yen, adukku badil adutha paatiliye irukke. He said, the answer for this is there in the next song. The next song is, the Guru, when he heard this from the disciple, the Guru said, he also became happy because the disciple has recognized. The Pratyabhijna has happened. So the Guru was happy. So he said, Kittavayanave Alaithu. The Guru said, come near. Deshigan Magizhandu Nokka. With so much delight, so much contentment, the Guru looked at the disciple and said, come near. Kittavayanave Alaithu. Now come near. Dushtamam Tadaigal Moondrum Todarada Vannam. Even if you recognize the self, you can again slip back to ignorance. Or you can doubt your own experience. Or you can have some misunderstanding. Due to some kind of sin, the mind can work like that. You can fail to recognize it. So without these three Sanshaya, Viparyaya, Ajnana, without these three doshas, remain in that state. Todara Swarupa Jnana Nishtana Irupayagil Ni Shayyum Udaviyami. The only Guru Dakshina that you can give is abide as the self. Abide in the self as the self, nothing else. That is the only thing that you have to do. So this Bhagavan gave to Shankarama Party, and that lady lived like that. Don't imagine after that she was like Buddha. Ganeshana used to say she will get angry. She will, many people in the ashram, they didn't like her. So Ganeshana once asked her, why do you behave like this? That is why people are not liking you. What will we get by people liking us? மற்றவாளுக்கு நம்மளை பிடிச்சி என்னடா வேணும்? You are fair, I am dark. How can I change my color and become like you? So like that I have my own upadhi dosha. Let it remain like that. So that upadhi dosha is there, but the experience of the self which the Guru gives you, the wholeness, the purnatva, he is there, he is only a deshika. Deshika means pointer. He points out. You keep the glasses in the nose and search for the glasses. And somebody tells you it is already there. Kanthabharana Nyaya. So, the Guru tells you, you are that Tattvamasi. Ahasputam Tattvamasi Divedah Tatapi Asamprapya Paratmanishtham Bhuyo Vicharaha Matidurbalatvam Tat Sarvatha Swatmataya Hi Bhati. Ahasputam Tattvamasi Divedah Tatapi Asamprapya Paratmanishtham. The easiest way to get that Paratmanishta is the moment Guru declares, you recognize. Even not through self-inquiry. Many of Bhagavan's devotees, they got it like this. Either by look or by one word of Bhagavan. Only when seekers belong to another class, they ask how to get it. Then only Bhagavan will tell them who wants to get it. Who is asking this doubt? Find out. Then you sit with who am I, who am I. The who am I also, it is only for few days, few moments, once. For certain people, only once they have to ask. And there was one great saint who lived few years after Bhagavan also, Ramanagiri. He was a prince. And he came to Bhagavan. Bhagavan's grace guided him. He was on all Bhakti Marga, Muruga Bhakti. He was born in Spain, Sweden. But like an Avaduta he lived. And when he came to Bhagavan, Bhagavan's grace made him see inward. He lived in that Samadhi state. 40 days he was in Tiruvannamalai. He says, on the 40th day on Shivaratri, I became a fool. That means the ego was seen what it is. The ego is not real. You are the self. You need not undo the ego. You need not falsify the ego. It is false. The snake in the rope, you need not kill it. It is impossible to kill it. You put on the light, you will see that there is no snake, only rope is there. Like that, when you seek what this ego is, you will see that the ego is not real, only the self, Brahman is there. You are that. And that is the whole thing of Bhagavan's teaching. Tane Tane Tattvam Idanai Tane Kattuvai Arunachalam. This Tan, this self, experienced as I am, is the whole, is the truth. And how to know it? The moment you choose to realize the self will reveal itself from the heart. Usually seekers, they get confused. What to do? How to do? You have to choose God, then God will choose you. He will reveal. In His own way, He will reveal it. The only thing that we have to do is, we want it. Nothing else. The moment that mumukshutva comes, that thirst comes, from within, the inner being will reveal himself in his own way. In his own way, not in the way that you may think. In his own way, he will reveal it. And the moment you recognize, you know that you are bodiless and mindless. Aprana amana. That means the body will not disappear. The body is there in the world. The mind is there in the world. You have recognized your existence beyond the limitation of the body and mind. And that limitless being is Arunachalam. That limitless being is Ramana Maharishi. Bhagavan's devotees, Swamy, always used to say, when some devotees went to see him, they prostrated before him and said, Swamy, you have seen Bhagavan. Swamy said, we have not seen Bhagavan. Nobody has seen Bhagavan. Nobody can see Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not a thing which you can see. If you mean by seeing Bhagavan, seeing his outer form, you have to prostrate to each and every dust in the ashram. every tree in the ashram, because all of them have seen Bhagavan. So seeing Bhagavan means being Bhagavan. And being Bhagavan means merging your separate existence in Him. He alone should be there, not you as a person. Ramakrishna used to say like a Mahamantra, Naham, Naham, Tvam, Tvam. I don't exist, I don't, you alone, you alone, you alone. The moment the I ceases, that you will reveal itself. The moment this Tvam Padartha is seen through, that Tat Padartha will shine forth. The Purna Vastu will shine forth. So that recognition is Bhagavan's teaching, that recognition of the self that was given so freely by Bhagavan in all his teachings, especially talks with Ramana Maharishi. If you don't know Tamil or Sanskrit, does not matter. The talks itself is enough. Whether you understand or not, you go on reading it, slowly it will seep in and make you recognize the self. This is a fact. Ganeshan has done a lot of work on that edition of talks many times, but even now, sometimes when I go to see him, he will be sitting with talks. So that one book is enough for all. So this divine evening, this sacred moments we have spent meditating on Bhagavan and Bhagavan's devotees and Bhagavan's teaching, nothing is more purifying than this kind of interaction, this kind of communion from heart to heart. So before concluding this, we will chant Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, 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 Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Yato mamatma bhavasittumeva, tato na bachyam mama kinchitasti, yatha taveshtam kuruvam tathaiva tvam atmanatham ramanam bhaja.